But that was not nearly as bad as what we had next in this descent into hell. The next match, by the popular demand of absolutely no one, was the Hardley Boys with Adam Cole and Brandon Cutlet at ringside with them against the Puddin' Gang of Rocky Romero and Muffin Top Taylor with their manager, our little dog Pockets. So now it's ridiculous that it's obvious now they're not only force feeding us the Hardley Boys, but they have to be combined and contained with the other joke indie talent that will go along with the Hardley Boys and do their foolishness. And so it all becomes in this same segment, and that is where they have pigeonholed poor Adam Cole, who is almost completely nullified as a talent that can make any kind of meaningful impact at this point, and only the reformation of the Undisputed Era may be able to salvage him at this point, because they have taken him from a fucking huge signing and making a big splash and getting a standing ovation to being a corner man in a comedy match in 6 weeks. And if I was any of them, I'd be embarrassed. Because they had to work at this. Because they had something handed to them on a silver platter, and they kicked the platter over and threw it in the fucking mud hole. So Cole now is just a stooge hanging around ringside with these fucking clowns. And they had a match, and it's the same shit as always. They can't do anything else. Did you notice Taz is now calling Cutlet Cutlet?
Yeah, I did notice that.
Even he knows that he's a bland, unremarkable piece of white meat. And so, of course, the Hardley Boys win. And then, of course, there's heat after, because you can just write the bullet points of every Hardley Boys match down. And the only thing they ever change is the order they do them in. So Cutlet's in the ring, supposedly shooting video on his little camcorder like a goof in his goofy outfit, while they get long, boring semi-heat on the baby faces. And then suddenly, and folks, I am not making this up, music plays, and they get a shot of Trent's mother, Sue, pulling up in her minivan. Remember, they did this, it's been a year, and since Trent was the only athletic-looking, talented worker in this gang of idiots, the best friends. And he got hurt and had to have surgery. But about a year ago, in a street fight match with Santana and Ortiz, Sue, the mother with the minivan, was involved, and he would get out of the minivan and she would kiss him on the cheek before he went to the ring. She's back. The new Mrs. Bagwell. Trent comes in and beats up all the heels. And he's now shaved his head and he's got a beard, and he looks now, remember before he looked like a bigger, jacked up, athletic looking guy that you could buy as something, except he was just playing with children? Now he shaved his hair off. He's got a beard. He looks like every outlaw indie guy. It looks like he dropped 6 inches in height. That's what got me. I was like, this is the same guy? So basically what happened was Adam Cole was in the corner of a bunch of fucking goofs that were kicking the shit out of the other goofs. And the other goof's friend ran into the ring and saved them after his mother drove him up in a minivan and dropped him off. And we're supposed to, in any way, take this seriously, be excited about it, not think that everybody involved is a complete idiot. Just silliness. And then the mother came in the ring for all the baby faces to dance around. Did you see the people? They're like, what the fuck is this? Get this woman out of the fucking ring. I mean, this wouldn't have gotten over in Columbia, South Carolina, where people are halfway polite to mothers, much less Long Island, where mothers get buried under the fucking Meadowlands with Jimmy Hoffa.
That's not true.
It's not been proven. Explain the level of silliness that you saw here, Brian.
If a mother's going to get buried on Long Island, I would think it would probably be on the way to Robert Moses down by the beach. But that's just my guess.
What about some of those Real Housewives of Teterboro?
Bury them all. But
bury them all.
Look, the match was not for me. The Young Bucks suck. I'm sorry. If you tell me you really like the Young Bucks right now, I absolutely look down on you. They are so fucking bad right now. Adam Cole, I don't want to see anymore. I'm sorry. I gave him so many benefits of the doubt. I talked about it the other day. The fact that he's as small as any wrestler I've ever seen. He has no muscle tone, and he goes out there and does silly shit. The Best Friends are so bad, and the reason they're so bad is because unlike a Matt Hardy group or something that gets shuffled in and out, it feels like the Best Friends are always there.
They've been there since the start, and they've been seen on this television more often than any legitimate talent that they've had before or since.
And the more friends you add,
talent.
And the more friends you add, the less people care.
Yes.
And look, these segments, the Buck segments, and this is all part of the universe of the Bucks, these are typically the worst segments on the show, and they typically run way too long and have all the stupidness. And it's counterproductive to a show where you have the CM Punks, you have the Danielsons, you have the MJFs, even the Darbys who keep things serious. And there are other guys. Taz keeps things serious, but I know he's not a main event player right now. But these segments are bad. And then the return of Trent. It was going on for so long that you just knew something had to happen at some point. It's the epitome of everything that was wrong and awful about AEW in the early days before they had star power. When they thought their stars were the star power they needed. It's everything I hate about that.
Do you think this stuff is what's keeping the ratings from getting any bigger when they sign the stars and they sign the mainstream names and they start doing the good stuff? You always still see this. Is this running off the people who would watch this program because it just looks so minor league?
I'll put it this way. I don't think it gets any new people. And I think AEW has had some great moments on their shows, but have done, I think, a bad job of capturing and running with the momentum the last couple of months. There have been great segments, but the show is still filled with so much bad shit usually. And even when it's a show with minimal shit, the shit is so bad, you're like, why is this even on the show? Why is this on the air? But the momentum isn't as hot right now as it was, and I don't think like Kevin Owens or anything else is going to heat it back up. You get it heated up by having really good segments, every segment on the show or close to it. But when you have serious segments that are really good, and you follow it with bad comedy that it seems like less and less people are reacting to, yeah, by the end of the match, people will pop for near falls. They'll do that if fucking Nikolai Volkov's wrestling someone. They'll do that for anybody. They pop for near falls. It's called wrestling. But I hate this stuff. I don't want to see the Bucks. I don't want to see Cole. I don't want to see the Best Friends. I would like someone to fund a promotion. But Tony, you know what, Tony? Give them a show where it's just all them and none of me. That's what I want. Garbage, but this is complete garbage.
And I'm sorry, but if you open a restaurant and you bring in a celebrity chef to cook the meal, and 1,250,000 people come and eat, and their experience, something about their experience indicates that a third of those people will not be back a month later. You fed them something they didn't like, and it wasn't the person that made them tune in the first place. It was something else on the program. You can't mean to tell me that anybody besides the people that have been watching AEW since the start and are apparently complacent and okay with this foolishness, anybody else that has watched that program specifically because they got CM Punk or Bryan Danielson or this star or that star or any of their debuts or whatever, saw what they came to see, and they saw a bunch of other segments with goofballs that look like they're on their local fucking indie at their high school doing silliness. And they said, oh, okay, this is one of those. What was it? What were the people on NFL Twitter when they discovered Chris Jericho was still wrestling last year? They were calling it they didn't say Outlaw Mud Show because they didn't know the terminology, but the low budget wrestling or whatever they were, that's what it looks like, because they've got people that obviously can't be stars having crummy matches and doing stupid things and acting silly. That's been the albatross around AEW's neck since day one because of the original talent choices that Tony Khan made. I'm not even talking about the Hardley Boys and Twinkle Toes. They came with an audience. I'm talking about letting them get all of their friends' jobs instead of going on a search for actual legitimate quality talent that could be obtained. And he won't get rid of them. It just won't get rid of them. That's what's keeping more people from watching this show on a regular basis. And as a matter of fact, go ahead.
I was just going to say one other thing, because I've defended Nick Jackson a lot on this show, but I'm sorry. Anyone who watches the early part of that match and Nick Jackson and Rocky Romero and doesn't think that looks like just bad choreography. Guys who in their head, Nick Jackson knows what he wants to do because it's the same thing he does in every fucking match, and they're doing a routine. There's no feeling to that. I watched that, and in my head, I had it on mute because I was doing something else. And I looked up and I started laughing, thinking of the Benny Hill music playing, because it would have worked.
It would have worked.
It was just a routine. And I don't know. There's a shelf life for that, I think.